For today's walk, I went to Ballycotton, which is a small village in the south of Ireland. It's about 45 minutes and a little bit less than 40 kilometres from Cork City in the car. The weather wasn't as nice today as it had been on other days of my trip, but Ballycotton is a gorgeous little village for people who enjoy kind of scenic country Irish villages. There are some nice pubs and restaurants, there is a lovely hotel, and there's some really nice attractions like the pier, a fishing dock, and there is an operator that offers tours out to the lighthouse that you can see in the bay. I didn't really have a specific route in mind for a walk today, so I decided just to go down to the beach to see what I could see. The part of the beach that I was on was quite rocky and covered in seaweed, but it was still really nice to walk along it and look out over the bay towards Garryvaux. It was nice to go walking without a very specific route in mind for a change. There was a lot of really nice natural beauty to be seen from wildflowers and seabirds, and it was lovely to get down at the beach level and just get to see all the little nooks and crannies of the Cork coastline on the south of Ireland. The Ballycotton Lighthouse is really easily visible from the beach. It was commissioned in 1851, and although it is on an island so you can't reach the lighthouse, there are tour operators that offer out to the lighthouse, which have some really good reviews online. I didn't get to spend as long exploring Ballycotton as I would have liked because I was on a schedule. I had to be back for today's distillery tour, which I was booked in for. But I would thoroughly recommend visiting Ballycotton for anyone who likes Irish coastal traditional villages. It is an absolutely beautiful location with some gorgeous scenery and some really friendly people. If you have ever visited Ballycotton, especially if you're not from Ireland, I would love to hear what you thought of it in the comments. So for today's distillery visit, I decided to save, I won't say to save the best for last, but I certainly saved the one that I was most looking forward to until last, and that was to visit the Midleton Distillery. I got really lucky with the van in that the distillery is literally just over that wall that is covered in ivy there that you can see, and I was able to just park up, visit the distillery, and then come back to the van, no hassle, and go and get a bit of food in Midleton Village, which was lovely. I was super excited to come and visit the Midleton Distillery. It's an incredibly historic place in Irish whiskey history. It was built when Irish Distillers was formed. Irish Distillers was when the biggest whiskey distilleries in the country that were remaining amalgamated in the 50s or 60s in a bid to save the Irish whiskey industry, because the Irish whiskey industry as a whole had suffered so badly because of World War I, Prohibition in the US, World War II, and a trade war with the British Empire following Irish independence in 1920. And that left the Irish whiskey industry in a really, really vulnerable place. So by merging together those distilleries, those brands were able to come on a united front and really put forward the case for Irish whiskey instead of just putting forward a case for their brand internationally. So I loved this distillery visit, and I'm really excited to show you what I learned on the way. Hope you enjoy. Midleton Distillery is undoubtedly one of the most famous and influential places in Irish whiskey. I did the behind the scenes tour and got one of these very stylish blue high-vis jackets. Our tour was mainly focused on the site of the old distillery, which features the world's largest pot still, although the liquid is now produced in a much more modern facility located on the same campus that you can see there. Our tour guide today was Tommy, who's usually not a tour guide. He's the tutor at the Irish Whiskey Academy, and he was really super knowledgeable and eager to answer all the group's questions. We were talked through the distillation and production process in the micro distillery, which is where Method and Madness is made, and this was followed up by a really informative classroom session where Tommy explained really clearly the process that goes into making whiskey and how each stage of the process influences the final product. The barrel house was really interesting, talking about how different elements of the wood in the barrels and how whiskey is stored affect the final process, and we got to see the cooperage, which is a part of the whiskey process that I've never seen before. The final part of our tour, which took about an hour and 45 minutes, was in the old distiller's house, where we got to taste the Midleton Very Rare Barry Crockett Legacy, which I think you can tell I enjoyed. I absolutely loved this distillery experience, and even though it was one of the more expensive options for tours at Midleton, it was definitely worth the money and highly recommended. So I'm really glad that I got to come down to Midleton and go on that distillery tour. Of the 3 distillery tours that I did in the 3 days that I was away in the van, I think Midleton was probably my favourite, although it's probably not a direct comparison, because in Midleton I did the behind the scenes tour, which was a little bit more expensive, and that meant it was a longer tour, gave me access to more areas, and it was just a really interesting tour all around. But as a kind of a wrap up to this mini-series, I would thoroughly recommend any of the tours that I went on. Tullamore Dew was really interesting. I would say that would be the best one if you are just getting an introduction to how whiskey is made, what the distilling process is. Waterford was really interesting because of all the unique things that they're doing with terroir and our relationship with the farmers, and the real focus that they have on kind of farm to bottle distillery process, and making sure that there's maximum transparency for the customers. And then Midleton was amazing just from a historic standpoint, and getting to see some of the really iconic locations that have led to the rise of brands like Jameson and Redbreast, and the spot whiskies, and Midleton Very Rare, Method and Madness, the list goes on. So overall, I really enjoyed this trip. If you want to leave a comment down below, tell me what you think. Have you visited any of these distilleries? Did you enjoy? Did you think there was anything I missed out? Do you think there's anything that I should have mentioned? I'd love to hear it down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them down below, and I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe for more videos. Any recommendations on videos you'd like to see would be really appreciated.